Hi, this is the Day 2 College Application Bootcamp video. Today we're going to be covering the Day 2 topics, so the college admissions essay, completing the optional responses, and then opportunities for help and review. So there are two types of written responses associated with Common App or with college applications. There's the Common App essay, which is like the quintessential college admissions essay. This is the one most people think about when they think about writing requirements for college applications. There are 7 prompt options. There's a 650 word limit, and students can choose whichever prompt best fits their goals. There are also school-specific responses. So some colleges require students to answer short written responses, shorter writing prompts such as why do they want to attend that college, or why have they picked a particular major, or what activities do they see themselves participating in. If you see optional responses like this, we highly recommend that you complete those optional answers. Think of them more as required rather than optional. So what are colleges looking for in the essay? Basically, their goal is to have a better understanding of the student, of their background, of their values, their humor, who they are in general. They're going to be using the essay often to determine distinction between two academically equal candidates. So if they have thousands of applicants and there's going to be a lot of similarities in transcripts and grades and curriculum that they've taken, even in extracurricular activities. So the essay can really let colleges know who a student is behind that application. Basically, the admissions reps are trying to answer the fundamental question of, is this a person who will fit in on our campus? Is this someone we want to be on our campus? There are steps that students should take when it comes to their written responses for their applications. And the first is to develop an overall plan. They should create a chart to highlight the main themes of all the written response questions, read some successful examples of essays, brainstorm and reflect on those core qualities, values. For the Common App essay, they'll have to choose a topic that really fits with the story that they want to tell. We're going to go into more detail about this one too, but the into, through, and beyond method is a good start. But have a plan for how you're going to introduce and share your story. Then draft, you're going to redraft, and then you're going to redraft again. So this is not a one draft and submit essay. I also separate out as its own step one last proofread. So you've been rewriting and editing and rewriting, but before you submit anything, you need to have one more proofread, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute too. After you've done all of that, you're going to be submitting those essays and just get to celebrate that it's done. So taking a little closer look at those steps 1 through 3. So creating an overall plan, you're going to review each application, and you're going to create a running list of all the written response prompts that you're expected to answer for all your colleges. Then you're going to create an organized chart. So using that overall plan, look for and make note of similar themes and types of responses. For example, you might have a question that says, why do you want to be a nurse from UK? And then UC might have a question of, why do you want to be a nursing student at the University of Cincinnati? So those are similar questions, similar themes. You might be able to write one response and then tweak it, so that way it can be shared for both of those. Instead of writing 2 completely different written responses, you can just do one and make some adjustments. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you stress. You also want to take a look at successful examples of essays. So if you click this link here, this little person typing, it's going to take you to this website. And this website's going to show you all the different prompts from Common App. It's going to tell you some tips and strategies for that prompt. It's going to show you some example essays for that prompt. So this is a good place to start to just kind of get a feel of what other students are writing, how they're writing their stories, and give you some of that background. So that's a good starting place. Steps 4 and 5 are probably going to be some of your longer steps, I guess. The college essay is very personal. It requires at least a little bit of vulnerability on the student's part to share their story. So that brainstorming step is really, really important. This is that self-reflection. You need to be asking yourself, what are your defining personal qualities? Are you practical? Are you insightful? Are you intuitive, determined? Are you adaptable? You can also ask yourself questions like, what's my problems? Where have I faced challenges, conflicts, fears? How have I overcome those things? What did I learn from overcoming those obstacles? And then taking a look at that, how are your qualities related or portrayed in the framework of that problem? So did I learn about how I could adapt when I faced that particular conflict? Did I learn how I could be supportive? When my family was going through this situation? Those are questions that you can be asking yourself during that self-reflection stage. And once you've kind of picked, a couple of qualities and a story or two that demonstrate how you show those qualities, that's when you're going to choose your topic. So based on your brainstorming, which topic is going to help you answer that fundamental question of why are you the right fit for that university? Is your insightfulness, is your intuitiveness going to make you, is that going to make you an asset on campus? What makes you stand out? I've also got here how to choose that prompt. So if you click the link here, it'll take you to this page. This talks about how to answer each of the essay prompts. Very similar to the other one. It's going to give you, but it gives you some questions that you can ask yourself. It talks about, what the prompts are really looking for. So once you've picked your qualities, your stories, which prompt is that best going to answer? So these are the Common App prompts. I listed them out here for you. You can also see them at the Common App, but they're not meant to be restrictive. So the goal of the prompts is just to get you thinking. It's not to restrict you. If you have a story, you don't feel like it fits in 1 through 6, well, then you've got number 7. Share an essay on any topic of your choice, and you can use that if you need to. So now we're going to look at one way that you can approach writing your Common App essay. This is one technique called the Into, Through, and Beyond method. It's from Dr. Rebecca Joseph. And if you click this link here, that'll take you to her SlideShare where she goes more in depth. But the Into is the strong opening. So that's going to bring your reader into your story. One thing I like to remind students is that these college admissions reps are getting thousands of applications. I think OSU had like 40,000 applications a couple years ago. So those admissions reps are reading lots and lots. If you can get them drawn into your story in that first line or two, that means that they're going to be actively reading your story rather than just skimming. The through piece of the story is going to be giving the context and the key points. That's where you're going to show them the qualities and characteristics you're trying to showcase. That's where you're going to give them the information about, the experience, the specific examples. And then the beyond is where are you going from here? How did it impact your decisions regarding college, after college? How did it impact who you are as a person, and how is that person that you are now going to be on the college campus? So going into it a little bit more, again, that into the essay, strong openings, you want to spark your reader's interest. Your reader in this case is your college admissions rep. You want to make them want to read on. Some example of 2 openings. one of which is stronger than the other. So you have option 1, the prompt I choose is to reflect on a time that challenged me. I was 16 years old, I had just earned my driver's license, and I got locked out of my car. That gives you a lot of information. It's not necessarily a bad opening, but consider if you were to read an essay that started with, I had never broken into a car before. A college admissions rep that's reading that is going to be intrigued by option 2. They're going to wonder, is this person about to admit that they've committed a crime in their college admissions essay? So they're going to have that curiosity. They're going to want to read on. They're going to want to find out what happened. That is the goal of your opening, to develop that curiosity. The through part of the essay, you're setting the scene, you're creating context, you're creating, you're using sensory words, descriptive, figurative language. So you're helping the reader visualize your story and make that connection with you. So you've created curiosity, and now you want them to connect with you. Beyond the essay is when we're bringing it full circle. So you've opened up your story, you've talked about, you've taken them through, what the story is and how it impacted you, and now you want to wrap it up and talk about how you learned from the experience and what you're taking forward into the future. Steps 7 and 8 are similar. Like I said, I separate them out because I think it's important. Sometimes students work best when they create an outline of their essay ahead of time, so that first draft. Maybe some students work better if they have an outline. Other students might work better free writing and then going back to edit. Either way is a good option, so you just do what works best for you. With both situations, you want to make sure that you have a theme that you're working with, a theme or a goal that you're trying to share, something to help keep your essay focused rather than broad. We want to be specific. And then that final proofread, I really stress this because especially if you're using written responses from more than one college, you want to make sure that you're editing the college name, making sure that your major is correct. So just don't forget to do that final proofread. You should do this for each college, even if you're submitting the same written response. And then last step, you get to submit your applications with your completed responses. And I know that the Common App essay and the college admissions essay in general causes some anxiety for students. But really, this is a personal narrative. So just believe that you have created something amazing because it is about you, and that's what the college is hoping for. They're hoping to learn more about you. Some general tips for written responses, starting early. So we really want you to start even now as early as August because that'll give you plenty of time to draft and redraft. That shows that you're already working on tip 2, which is valuing the writing process and multiple drafts. So it's not going to be done. It's not going to be a one and done writing response. It's going to take time, and it's going to take multiple drafts to get there. You want to stick with first person point of view. So the colleges are looking to learn more about you, and we've seen this kind of pitfall in the past. I guess it could be underneath that as well, where a student is talking about someone who's inspired them. And so maybe it's about their grandmother, and they're writing about how their grandmother is this wonderful person who is determined and hardworking and supportive, and they just admire all of these characteristics about her so much because she's such an amazing woman. But the college is not looking to learn about your grandmother. Of course, they wouldn't be mad to hear about your grandma, but they're looking to find out about you. So your grandma's not trying to get into college, you are. When you're writing your essay, you want to talk about, if you're talking about someone who inspired you, or a person or a place or an experience that inspired you, you really want to be focusing on yourself. That's where that vulnerability piece comes in. I realized that I wasn't acting like my grandmother would have expected, and this is how I overcame that and how I tried to live up to her expectations of me. Focusing on you rather than your grandma. You want to make sure you stay within the word count guidelines. The limit for the Common App essay is 650 words. There are other written responses that have less or more, but 650 words is for the Common App essay. Do not go over by even one word. If you submit an essay that has 651 words, the college won't read it. If they have a short written response that's 350 words and you write 352, there's a good chance they'll toss it out. So make sure you stay within the guidelines that they're providing you. You want to use active writing where you're showing, not telling. We talked about how prompts aren't meant to be restrictive, so keep that in mind when you're writing your essays. And again, I can't stress this enough, the best essays are the ones that are personal, the ones that students have really thought through who they are and are sharing that information. And those successful essays will have a focus or theme, so they don't need to know every single thing about you, but they have a focus of what you want them to know and that theme, and then use specific examples to support it. Some specific pitfalls that students fall into are the computer grammar and spell check, just relying on that. They're not perfect. You want to make sure that you're checking that yourself. ChatGPT, please, please, please do not write your college admissions essay using ChatGPT. It is, they have ways of knowing that you've done that. They won't read your essay. It could negatively impact your application. You might use ChatGPT to think about what kinds of topics you want to write about, what you want your theme to be, but you really need to write your own essay. Can't rely on that AI for this activity. Free writing or drafting without at least a theme. Before you start writing, know what you want to write about, or at least the theme focus that you want to write about. Not changing the college name or specifics. I talked about this in my tip to proofread one final time, but if you're writing an essay for UK about why you want to attend UK, and then you submit that same thing but forget to change UK out for OSU, that's not going to look good on the application. You don't want to use last year's responses or prompts, so prompts haven't really changed much at all, so you shouldn't have this problem with the Common App essay, but if you're looking for help with the specific school responses, then make sure that you're focusing on this year's written response prompts. And then another pitfall is writing before you review all the written response questions. We really want to save that time for you if possible, and make sure that you only write what you need to write and not spend that extra time rewriting something if you could have handled it the first time. And then that's where we move on to individual work in the boot camp. You can go back and watch parts of this video or head into anything that you need from this. If you have questions, you can reach out and we'll be happy to help. Thanks.